What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. It's Masters Sunday, April 13th, and we're back in the UAN to preview RIFC's U.S. Open Cup trip to Lewiston, Maine, to take on the Portland Hearts of Pine. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube, and if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and click the like button on this video. Hit that thumbs up if you can. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd appreciate it if you leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. One last plug: if you're not already on the RIFC Club Collector app, go check that out and enter the code TIDETALK25, all lowercase, all one word, to get an exclusive pack added to your collection today. So cozy up. Crack a bear. Sorry, Mitchell, we didn't tell you about this, our little trick that we do.
I came prepared.
There you go. There you go. Good stuff. And we'll dive into this one. As always, I'm your host, Matt, and I'm joined by my good friend, Ryan. Ryan, how was your Sunday, bud?
Rory got the monkey off his back. That's all we cared about, folks. It wasn't fun. It was stressful as hell, but he did it. So
it was a pretty good Sunday. We saw Rory do the career Grand Slam. We saw a McLaren double podium. Roma drew in the Derby de la Capitale, and Hibs continued 17 unbeaten. All good. I won't mention my other favorite.
I would say, do you want to comment on North London?
No, and what they did, but always good to get going. We were joined by a special guest, Mitchell Ketchen from the Dirigo Union. Mitchell, how's it going, man? How was your Sunday?
Sunday was great. I thought Rory was going to do his best and try and spoil his career Grand Slam, but he got over the line, right? So no, I can't complain. Yesterday was yesterday. We're on to bigger and better things on Sunday.
Right on. I know we're going to talk about it as we get going on this one, but the travel for Portland Hearts of Pine in the last week and a half or so has been absolutely insane, huh?
Out of this world, and I look at Masashi Wada, who we'll touch on later, but he came in just before our Hartford matchup from Japan, and then 2 days later he's on a cross country flight to Spokane and ends up starting. Insane, absolutely insane amount of travel. I'll be glad to have a little bit of a home stretch in just a couple of weeks.
Awesome. So as we kind of, get started here, tell us a little bit about yourself, the Dirigo Union podcast, the supporters group as a whole, kind of how you guys came to be. I know you hit a milestone this week with 400 members that have joined, which is incredible in year one. I mentioned to you before we get started, my family and I head up to Portland multiple times a year. I think if I could get a job there, I would move there tomorrow. One of my favorite cities in the world. Just a really cool spot. But you guys have a lot of good juju kind of brewing around this club right now, and I think you guys are doing a lot of things right in year one. And it seems like it's really exciting times up north.
Very. It's been a long journey, and I started just podcasting. I was a part of a podcast called The Main Stand right around the start of COVID. The Dirigo Union's treasurer, myself, and then his name's Pat Willett. He's the head of marketing over at the Hearts of Pine now. So he's running around the touchline with his cell phone, getting all the Instagram reels going. But it just kind of blossomed from there. Started talking with Gabe, got dragged into the supporters group, and it's been nose down, grow it from the grassroots level, and try and get people entertained before we kick a ball at Fitzpatrick.
That's awesome. Before we get started, make sure you tell our listeners too where they can find your podcast and everything on the socials.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find. Dirigo Union, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, YouTube, From the Forest to the Tide podcast, as well as the Dirigo Union post-match pulse, where we do a live match reaction the day after games. Doing a lot of content, try to get people educated and up to date with all things Hearts of Pine.
That's awesome. The more content you pump out, the more people get excited, and that's what we try to do with socials, blogs, podcasts, and all that. So very cool to see a new team jumping in on that as well.
Yeah, it always felt like we were kind of kindred spirits here with the Tide in your podcast name as well. So absolutely love to see that.
Instant connection, yeah. The maritime connection in New England is very strong.
Yeah, for sure. And like Matt said, Portland's also one of my favorite cities. My wife and I got married up there a couple years ago. So yeah, absolutely
Awesome.
great. But yeah, so Mitchell, as we look at the Portland Hearts of Pine in their season so far, so currently 1 win in 3 draws and a loss in all competitions, sitting at 13th in League One, but advancing 2 rounds in the Open Cup so far. So how has the season kind of met your expectations, and how's it going so far?
It's going well. I think with a young team, you're gonna have a lot of kind of struggle, if you will. I think the boys have bonded well. At least it appears that way. Bobby is a player for or person first, player second coach, and he's brought in really, really good guys that have meshed well off the field and on the field. You guys know our friend Nathan Messer pretty well. And to see him come up to Portland and fit right in with Ollie Wright has been a dream. Obviously, last night was a tough result, but I think it's something we expected after starting this run. We had 3 games in 7 days just a week ago. Playing championship caliber clubs, we're going to have rotation, trying to find an identity, and I think we're working through that.
I think a big, question I've had so far, you guys seem to be a very tough nut to crack. You look at the goals, conceded per game is very, very low. Obviously the 2 last night, but that's a little different compared to how you guys have been, playing so far. Has the defense really been kind of the cornerstone in what you guys are really building around?
It didn't seem like that initially. I felt with the signings coming in, it was very midfield centric. Felt like every other day we were hearing about a new midfielder coming to Portland. But the late addition
we can attest to that as well.
the late addition of Sean Binberg has really stood out early on. Somebody with league experience and professional experience over in the lower levels of the German pyramid. He's been a really big cornerstone to our defense, and I think the line holds well when he's in there. You also have professional experience with a player like Shandon Wright, who's starting to get some more minutes. I think more of the defensive mindset comes from Alex Ryan. He's a very defensive USL 2 head coach, 89% win percentage, no nonsense character, and we have to have a strong defense in order to transition quickly. So I guess in hindsight, the defense is the important piece there.
For sure. One segment that we do here on Tide Talk is called RIFC in 3, where typically we, sum up a game in 3 words. We ask our listeners to sum up a game in 3 words. How would you sum up your season in 3 words? You got to give it that quick, 3-word movie title. What would you give for the Hearts of Pine?
Exciting to watch. I think we bring a unique style of play to USL 1. We're young, we're quick, but we have a lot of calming balance. You talk about like Mikey Lopez, somebody with a ton of veteran experience, kind of calming the play down. But you have players like Mickey Riley and Evan Southern, who are young professionals coming out and creating a lot of energy when they need it. So, exciting to watch.
I like that.
Yeah, hopefully not on Tuesday, but I do like that. But one other segment that we do on the show is either good, bad, or the ugly after a loss, or maybe a tough draw, or good, better, best for usually after a big win. So dealer's choice here on which way you want to go with that. But could you give us one of your GB somethings?
Yeah, so I'll start with the good. I think our defense has been good to start. I want to see more, especially on set pieces. Better, I think, is probably our creativity and our ability to get forward. And then best has to be the Messer free kick against Violence. I think that was something that's going to go down in the history of our club as something that cemented the players and the fans together. The Messer leap over with the supporter section, I think, is going to go down as a core memory for a lot of people.
Let's talk about the supporters, setup and all that, because I know Ryan and I and a couple of our other contributors we were sitting here on Streamlabs with the Hartford match streaming, watching it in real time, and the whole debacle of everyone go behind the goal to now the ref moving people from directly behind the goal. I don't think the ref understood that, in stadiums, they're going to have people behind the goal anyway. So like, talk us through that Hartford match and, everything that led up to the penalty shootout.
So, I mean, I think we were consistently the better team throughout that match. One thing that's impressed me is while we are young, we're not letting these aggressive teams come in and bully us. Like, we're holding our heads pretty well. And I think after 96 minutes, Liati kind of lost it and kind of ran through the back and picked up a red. And I didn't waver for a second on that. And I don't think many of the fans there did either. We don't have expectations. We're just excited to be there at this point. And we heard over the PA, everybody go down behind the net.
As did we on the broadcast.
So people started walking, and then they flip-flopped it. And then the referee didn't even come over and talk to us. I think the linesman maybe came close, but didn't really make an effort. So we're all standing there like, why is the referee holding things up? Nobody knew what was going on. But I guess it's one of those rules that's in the rule book. It's up to the official to enforce it. I think it's asinine to think that if somebody has a stadium with seats behind the net, they get an advantage in a penalty shootout. But sure. We'll use our voices as supporters to get that change if that's the case.
No, that's it. It was wild to watch, and cool to see you guys able to convert. And we just all love seeing Hartford lose too. So
absolutely,
it was a refreshing drink.
That's it. But next up, talk to us a little bit about this stadium atmosphere. I know you guys are at Lewiston High School right now before the move to Fitzpatrick. So talk about Lewiston, what that's been like, and kind of maybe your expectations for the move.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice home for now. It's not what we expect. We expect more as supporters. We want to be loud. And there's been between 3,000 and 4,000 people there for those first two rounds on cold, wet weekday nights. I think that really showcases that Maine gets up for our local teams. We've been ready for it, but it is not going to compare to doubling that size at Fitzpatrick, adding smoke, adding TIFO opportunities, more banner space. I think it's going to be night and day what that experience is, but so far, Lewiston has been such a gracious host, and I think it's great for the community to be hosting the games up there.
Right on. One of the other questions we kind of asked going along with this is, what the pregame looks like. So I know the Dirigo Union has invited Defiant 1636 to the Craft Brew Underground for the pre-match boogie, I believe it's being dubbed, right?
Absolutely.
I know my whole family is going. I know a lot of our Tide Talk contributors are going. Ryan's going. Talk to us a little bit about what to expect for that. What that'll look like and the party beforehand.
So Craft Brew Underground is a unique little spot. I'll preface it with that. Don't scoff at it. You're going to open a door and it's going to look like you're walking into a damp basement. But
I mean, those are my favorite bars. So this is
it opens up. It opens up. There may be like a ghost hanging out in the corner or something, but they're just there to party. Mm-hmm. There's games. They host comedy there. It's going to showcase how weird Maine is, but how community focused it is. It's they've got a fold out menu with like 200 different beer options. Tons of weird shit on there. So it's plenty to go around for sure.
Well, I mean, that's the most like Portland, Maine-ish thing of like, it's like you're going to walk into this kind of weird looking bar and then they're going to have like the most extensive beer menu you've ever tried.
And it's going to be like top shelf stuff. Oh, yeah. Like people in Maine are crazy about their craft beer, and it shows through Craft Brew Underground. So I remember
the first time my brother went to Portland, after I'd been many times, he was like, hey, we just ate lunch. We went to a brewery. What do we do? I'm like, you go get more food and go to another brewery. Like that's what you do in Portland. Like, he wasn't there in the summer, so it was like, you know, you foodie hop and you brewery hop. That's what you do.
You got to get ready for winter somehow, you know.
That's it. Kind of getting back into the stadium itself. My wife would, this was her one question she wanted to ask, and I'm sure many RAFC fans will feel the awkwardness of very much wanting to purchase a Portland Hearts of Pine kit while they're up there. Do they sell the kits in Lewiston High School?
They do. So there'll be a pretty large merch tent. If I had to say, it's all pop up. So they'll have a few t-shirt options, a few sweatshirt options, stickers, magnets, posters, and jerseys. They do a good job of getting the line through. There's a lot of hype up here for the merchandise. So they have a few different stations, a few different lines, and they'll get you taken care of. And none of us will think less of you for giving our club some money, I'm sure.
I think it kind of gets scoffed at in like European soccer, like the half and half scarf. But if this game was on much longer notice and the teams were able to produce one, I think it would be a sellout hit amongst the fan bases, because I know, obviously we're not in the same league. We're going to compete against each other in cup competitions, but there are quite a few RAFC fans, myself included, Ryan included, who are very much following this team. I watched last night's game, just that there are a lot of Rhode Islanders who frequent, Portland and Maine in general, and are very much keeping tabs on this team. And, I would go as far as venturing saying that it's a lot of people's, second USL club, if you will.
And I would say the same for a lot of us in RIFC. We, with our build-up year, a lot of us started consuming the USL pyramid for the first time and seeing what this product was. And a bunch of us were fortunate to come down last year and take in a game. And I can't express how cool it was to see where you guys started. I think there was like 30 members around the start of the year, to see where it was at the end of the season, the party that the Defiance had really drummed up in that end, and to see the support around the city was really cool to witness in person.
That's awesome.
That's great. So moving back to the game, or as we get closer to the game, one of our favorite questions, and I am going to say, let's maybe not say Nate Messer on this one, but who are maybe 3 players to watch for the Hearts of Pine that RAFC fans might not be acquainted with yet?
I'm definitely going to start off with my boy Evan Southern. He has been able to get a couple of starts in the last few games. I've really liked his performance off the bench in Naples. Obviously, the assist in the Hartford match on the Keegan chip. He just provides a lot of energy. He's coming from James Madison and is actually a 9 who has been playing on the wings. So new position, professional level. He's adapting pretty well. I would say Titus Washington, another rookie, has been, I think, a little hard done to start the year. I think he's due. Really, really physical player, holds the ball well and can turn and shoot. I think he just is waiting for an opportunity to do that. And then
our guy Matt Hands in the chat wants to know, is Washington kind of expected to start up top?
I think so. Right now, it's weird with Liotti having the red card ban, because that kind of throws a wrench in what my brain tells me we should be doing. But we also have the addition of Natty James. He just came in. I'm not sure if he'll be coming off the bench or just getting a run in after a week of being with the team. And then Masashi Wada also adds a layer to that. He's a traditional 10, but I think he can play that advanced role really well, and brings in some professional experience. I believe he just turned 28, 27 or 28, and has played in all 3 levels of the J League. So definitely somebody to watch out for if he's starting.
And how big of a loss is Liotti being out due to the ban for you guys? Like how big do you see that impacting this one?
I was thinking about that, and then we played last night, and I think it changes the tone a little bit. Having the penalty saved, having a couple of near post shots either get saved or go off the woodwork. I don't know if it's necessarily a big miss. I know he brings a lot of creativity and a lot of power. He's obviously a proven finisher and a championship caliber player. But the last we've seen of him was in the opening round of the U.S. Open Cup with those 2 goals. And it's been kind of touch and go since then. So I think it definitely gives Titus a chance to step up, and then somebody else to fill in that second striker role and provide some goals, which we desperately need right now.
Sure. I know it's very lineup dependent, but our guy Nate Ski's in the chat, and he always asks this whenever we do an away end episode. But who's someone that could be a really big super sub, that could come on and really impact the game if you guys are either chasing it late or, to kind of come on and see something out?
Definitely Jake Keegan. I don't know if he's going to get the starting role. We did see him start in the game last night. And then I would say Mickey Riley, who started as well. He provides a lot of energy. He's the one that won the penalty that Liati had saved. And I think he won a couple other challenges, but he was facilitating a lot of our play into the box, and he changed the shape. That's one big question mark, is we've seen 3 different shapes, 3 different tactical styles in the last 3 games. So it's kind of challenging going into this one as a fan.
It's really funny. The more you've talked about Portland so far, I'm like, wait, you guys are having a very similar storyline to us. Like, you're in a temporary stadium. You're kind of having some interesting chemistry up top issues, but you have like a decent defense, but you're trying new things every game, and your coach is bringing in like good guys, but maybe they're not meshing yet. It's just like a lot of very similar parallels to early RIFC as well.
A lot of deja vu. Mm-hmm. One thing I definitely wanted to ask you, Mitchell, was, watching last night's game, I believe you guys made 5 changes from the Spokane game. Do you think that was more so due to, the travel expenditure on these players, or was some of that kind of, resting and rotating, preparing for this cup game?
I think that's resting and rotating. Part of me wishes we would have done it against Spokane. Get Cash a run in after those 3 quick games. And maybe do some tweaking with the front line. But I think it's just a matter of figuring out our pieces. The one big thing people were frustrated with after Spokane was having an XG of 0.16 and having, I think, 2 or 3 shots all game. We flipped the script and I think put 13 or 15 out there last night. So I think it's just working out the kinks, trying to figure out what works and finding the stride.
Right on.
Perfect. So as we wind towards this one, and everybody start getting your score predictions in the chat. So Mitchell, if this game is going to go well for the Hearts of Pine, what do you think would have to happen for that to take place? And vice versa, if RIFC were going to take 3 points back down south, what do you think would happen in the game?
What we need to do is, I think, play that same physical brand of footy we've been playing, maintain our ability to stay on the front foot, and score goals, convert some of these chances that we're creating, and find our ability to get the green light, if you will, and shoot the ball. If RIFC were to win, I think our defense has completely collapsed. I think that's been our saving grace so far. Obviously, they had a few hiccups last night. But if we maintain composure on the back line, maintain our shape, and snuff out the dangerous counterattack, I think we'll be okay.
Right on. So we're into the score prediction component of this episode. So if you're listening or tuned in on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure you get those in the chat, and we'll kind of go through them. We'll start with some of those going, and then I'll kick it to Ryan after I give a few of these, make him go first, put the pressure on him. Kevin's got 4-1 RIFC. Nate's got 2-1 RIFC. Timmy's got 2-0 RIFC. We've got Quadros, glad he found his wallet in Smashville with a 3-1 RAFC. Chuck's got 4-0. Jackson shuts him down. I'd love to see a Jackson Lee shutout, Chuck. I'm totally with you on that one. Sarah's got a 3-1 RAFC. And Chuck, reading can't comprehend all everything together. But Mitchell, I know the high for the day is kind of like in the 50s, but there's some rain expected. So any other weather updates before we dial these in?
It's funny you say that because we've had a member doing daily weather updates for Lewiston. So let me
we know a guy like that.
Let me check his last post. I think it was supposed to. It got wet. It was supposed to miss us, maybe late game showers, but I think it was supposed to start raining a little bit sooner. So it could be another wet, cold night in Lewiston. And so far, we've been in good graces on cold, wet nights in Lewiston.
That's it, So we'll switch to our score predictions here, and like I mentioned, we'll start with you, Ryan. I'll put you on the spot.
Well, hey, some people might fear a cold, wet night in Lewiston, but I just got my Tide Talk poncho jacket thing, so I am absolutely ready to go for that. So I have this one at 3-1 Rhode Island FC. We saw last year that it can take a while for offense to click, and that seems to be happening a bit with House of Pine. Only have scored 2 goals against professional teams this season. I do think this will be kind of like a 2-1 for a while, with RAFC getting a late third as Portland's really pushing for it. Could be tired legs from House of Pine with all the travel so much, whereas Rhode Island FC's just kind of been home for a week, and it's a very minimal travel up to Lewiston. I am really intrigued to see Rhode Island FC's really physical play with House of Pine kind of playing a similar brand of physical ball. So we could see some really fun duels and kind of matchups in here. So I think it's going to be fun. But at the end of the day, this is the first time Rhode Island FC will be playing in front of their actual fans. And I know a ton of us are going up there. And I think that's going to really push them on as they start to kind of see us more and more these next few weeks.
Pretty excited that, I know, Ryan, you're making the trip to Westchester too. So we're going to see them play 4 out of the next 5 games. Like you mentioned, getting to see the fans is always pretty cool.
I did say House of Pine. What is House of Pine?
Yeah, why are you saying? Are you watching House of the Dragons? Like, what's going on there?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I feel like House of Pine is something, but yeah, Hearts of Pine. My bad. I'm drinking like a non-alcoholic beer till now. I'm like,
that's the best part. Mitchell, I'll also add that RFC fans in the Defiance Discord are pretty bullish on this one. So what do you got for your score prediction?
I'm Homer take 2-1 Hearts of Pine. I have to ride.
Fair. Everyone who comes on here should defend their people. So
I
respect that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
The soccer brain in me, I do agree with a 3-1. I could see it break out into a 4-0. Like I can see a world where those are possibilities. But I think, taking into account the stories, the lore we've heard from the preseason, our boy Nathan Messer has lived a year with Rhode Island. I think it's in the cards for Hearts of Pine to step up. I really think playing in front of the home fans, it's been night and day, and how they play and the energy they bring to the table, and as people say, it is the magic of the cup. So I think good things can happen for Portland on Tuesday.
Well, I would say one thing I'm worried about, not like very worried about, but I hope they've been watching a little film on Lewiston Field, because some of the bounces in that Hartford game were absolutely incredible. So like that goal that you guys got to tie it up, I was like, that ball just died on the bounce, and it like lit up perfectly for the goal. So I hope we've been paying attention to that.
It reminded me of my old high school field, but that wasn't turf. That was just a rutted out old mud pit. Yeah. No, it made the ball falls weird in Maine. I will say that the soccer gods were on our side, but just gave it a little kiss and on that second bounce to get.
Hey, we were all for it. I cheered that on like it was Rhode Island FC scoring in the playoffs.
So I'll add, like I said, Rhode Island FC fans are very bullish on this one. I'm a little more timid in my take. I put 2-1 in the Defiance, but I could very easily see this being a 1-0 game, especially if it's a little wet and slippery and those bounces are kind of, playing around. I also wonder about RAFC's rotation, what that's going to look like. I think we do have the hindsight of knowing what happened in Charlotte last year and, fully rotating a squad and kind of bowing out of the cup a little too early. I would imagine that that's on Kano's radar of we we want to kind of win in advance going there. I also look at the Jägermeister Cup, where we'll see you guys again, as a weird group setup where if you finish second, you're not guaranteed to advance. So I would kind of put heavier stock in the Open Cup and trying to get a one-off win versus, potentially winning 3 games in your group and not advancing. I'm going to go 2-1. I could see 1-0. I think this is going to be a lot nervier than most RIFC fans think. I really think that, you guys have the magic of the cup. You're a tough nut to crack. Like I said, it's you guys don't concede a lot of goals. We had the 3 goals against Oakland, but Oakland, they're just not that good in my opinion. So I think those 3 goals were, very flattering to the game that we played, especially the second half. The second half was almost non-existent for us in the attacking sense. I think we completed 76 or 79 passes, what it was. So I am very interested to see at what this RAFC lineup will look like. I think if a JJ Williams or Chico starts, I think we could be okay. And I think we could see some goals. But I think we have to go with a 3 or 4 player rotation instead of the 6 or 7 like we saw last year with Charlotte, to really kind of be strong in this one.
Yeah, I mean,
Ryan, I saw you give me a little side eye there.
No, I think it's just interesting because this year it feels like we almost can't rotate as heavily as we did last year in terms of players we just really won't see the rest of the season. We're kind of 13, 14, 15 deep of people who have already started the season and didn't look particularly out of place, or guys who are we know they're coming in almost every single game, like an Amos or a Joe Brito. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of people out there that we might never literally ever see again, like last year in the Open Cup. So we'll be interested to see how Kano does rotate or not rotate with Detroit on the weekend, which I know he'll definitely want to get some points there. So
for sure. Mitchell, I know my family and I are planning on getting up to Portland area around noon, grab lunch somewhere up there. Yep. The boogie, the pre-match boogie starts at 4, I believe, 4 or 5.
4 o'clock they'll open. CBU is not typically open on Tuesdays, so we got the hookup. They're opening our doors for us soccer nuts.
So anyone who kind of heads up to the Lewiston area before 4 o'clock, anything else for them to check out? Any other places you'd recommend hitting?
Yeah, Gritty's right across the street. If you're there early, you can see the door to Craft Brew right from the bar in Gritty's, and that's
the same Gritty's that's downtown, and there's one in Freeport as well.
Same chain. Yep. Local New England chain. So definitely a comfortable feel when you walk in there. And then just walking around downtown, you have some incredible sights right around there. I don't know if anybody checked out the Dribble Trips match day vlog from that first game.
Our guy Archie does great work.
Archie's a great guy. Just walking around the city. It's about 5 minutes away from the school, so it's definitely walkable. But I
was going to ask you that. Is it would you recommend walking from Craft Brew Underground, or
no? I would recommend driving over to the school and park, and especially I think the SG is supposed to meet at 5:30 to go in, as are we. So there will be plenty of parking before gates open at that time, and we can snag some spots right up near the entrance.
Alcohol sales in Lewiston High School, or is that a faux pas with it being on educational property?
There have not been. It was in talks that there would be before the first one, but we don't need alcohol to have a good time. We've been rowdy without it, and
there you go.
It might be nice to warm us up on those cold nights, but they have a few food trucks. Brickyard Hollow Pizza, one of the club sponsors, has a food truck there. And then
I love Brickyard Hollow.
Last game they had a barbecue truck, so there's pulled pork, pulled chicken, fries, stuff like that. And then the high school boosters concession stand is open as well for some lighter fare.
Sweet. Awesome. Ryan, anything else you want to share before we hop off this one?
No, I just can't wait to see the boys. I mean, it's going to be our first time seeing them. We all thought it was going to be in Westchester in a few weeks, but now we get to go see them up in Lewiston, which I know all of us were kind of hoping we would play Hearts of Pine up in the Portland area at some point this season. So really excited to get up there and to actually see them in real life and cheer them on. So it'll be great.
It'll be a good time. I'm not sure where you guys will be sitting, but I'm sure we're gonna be loud and standing off for 90 minutes. It's gonna be fun. All love outside of that, though.
Absolutely.
Oh, that'll definitely be fun. Party beforehand, do our 90 minutes, and then friends afterwards. So we always I think that's the cool thing about the USL supporter community as a whole.
Absolutely.
So Mitchell, wanted to thank you for taking some time out to join us. Anything else you want to share before we end this one?
No, I appreciate you guys for being so hospitable when I came down, and I know the fans up here can't wait to check out Tidewater. It just got named, right?
Yes, Centerville Bank
Stadium.
Bank. I got Tidewater stuck in my head already, but we
So
can't wait.
We had a blog about it. Our guy Andrew wrote a pretty good blog about it, and I think it's always going to kind of be Tidewater to the casuals and people just kind of referring to the stadium, because naming rights change over time, but it's always going to be Tidewater Stadium. Tidewater Landing was the development, so I think that's going to be the very much the name that sticks throughout the entirety of it all.
But if you happen to work at Centerville Bank, thank you for giving our team money, and we really appreciate it.
I think we're going through that at Hadlock, right next door to Fitzpatrick, with I think
Sea Dogs, right?
Delta Dental Park now.
Rolls off the tongue.
It's like we have a concert venue nearby in Massachusetts that's been, I think, 9 different names since I've started going to concerts. So I know everyone listening that knows what I'm talking about in Mansfield can think of about 5 names right off the bat originally. So if you think of one that kind of sticks, it always kind of works. But Mitchell, definitely wanted to thank you again for taking the time to join us. I appreciate you spending some time with us on a Sunday night.
Absolutely. We'll see you in a couple days.
Are you going to be at the pregame?
Oh, for a little bit. Absolutely. Then I
Awesome.
got to start dressing out the section.
There you go.
Work to be done.
All right. Sweet. Well, that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click the link in this episode's description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt, for Ryan and Mitchell for joining us. Thanks again for joining. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the tide.
Up the tide.